Wait, did Apple just save Meta? So a couple of days ago, I released a video called Apple Just Killed Meta. And in that video, I firstly talked about my qualifications for talking about this topic. And then secondly, I argued that Apple's move to focus on productivity purposes for virtual reality and watching big screen content was a really smart move, and I think has positioned them in the market, the virtual reality market, in a much better way than Meta has historically. And I totally stand by those points. But a lot of you had comments. In fact, there are over 150 comments on that video. A lot of them were agreeing with me, but a lot of them were also making the counter argument saying that Apple actually have saved Meta by releasing this product. And I actually think a lot of the arguments that you guys were making is totally valid. So I'm going to be grouping a lot of those comments by theme and sort of immortalizing them in this video. So this is why Apple may have actually saved Meta. So the first thing a lot of you guys were talking about was value, and value is definitely a big talking point when it comes to the Apple Vision Pro. At $3,500, it is an expensive device. In fact, for that very price, you can buy 7 of Meta's new Quest 3 devices that are coming out. You could buy 3 of these and a Quest 3. I don't know why you would do that, you only have one head. But certainly value is a major consideration when thinking about entering the virtual reality market. Of course, deciding which VR device is right for you and whether even buying a VR device in the first place is a good idea is totally dependent on your own personal financial situation. And as is the case with all tech categories, there are diminishing returns as you go up the price scale. If you look at the smartphone market as a comparison, $500 smartphones can do 99% of the things that $1,000 smartphones can do to a similar level of quality. So I think similarly in virtual reality, there are significant diminishing returns as you go up these price scales, and Apple's Vision Pro is certainly right at the top end of that price scale. But what's interesting about this argument, and what I think is the deeper point that I think many of you were getting at in the comments, was that by Apple releasing this more expensive product, they actually make the Meta Quest products look like a great value. And this relates to a concept in behavioral science, which is what this channel is usually about. And that concept is called reference dependence. And the idea being that we judge the value of things relatively rather than absolutely. And when it came to the Quest products previously, for the lay public who weren't super invested in the virtual reality space, there was no solid reference point. Yes, there were other players in the VR space, but they weren't that well known compared to a company like Apple. Now, with Apple being such a well-known brand and with so much press coverage of this new device and the price tag being so well known across the world, it means that the general public now has a very high reference point for this market, relatively making the Meta Quest products look cheap. And as someone who has been avidly following this space for a while, seeing this shift in people's perception is super interesting. I still remember when this product was first released, this is the Quest Pro, and people were saying that it's an absurdly high price tag for a virtual reality headset that nobody is going to be willing to pay for. And yet, here we are with the Apple Vision Pro coming in at over 3 times the price, and suddenly it looks like a great deal. So that's the first reason why I think Mark Zuckerberg is super happy with this announcement. But now let's move on to the second reason why Apple may have accidentally saved Meta, and this is the idea that by Apple going into this space, they've actually validated Meta and all of Mark Zuckerberg's investments. Over the years, Apple have built up a very significant reputation for being conservative with what tech industries they move into. It's well known that Apple is very selective with what types of products they develop, so every announcement of a new product is always met with a lot of media hype because they know that this product entering the market from Apple is going to be pretty darn polished by the time Apple wants to go into it. So whether you like to admit it or not, Apple has that kind of power in the tech industry. When Apple moves into a space in the tech industry, everybody pays attention. It's a big deal. As an easy example in the world of smartphones, remember when Apple first removed the headphone jack? A lot of people were laughing at them, thinking that, nobody is going to want this product if it doesn't have a headphone jack, it's so important. And then what do we see happen in the tech industry? Immediately, nearly all the competitors remove the headphone jack from the smartphone as well. Apple just has that kind of power when it comes to the tech industry, and so by entering the VR market, they're giving a lot of legitimacy to VR companies. So what I've noticed over the last week is that the rhetoric around whether people want a virtual reality future has completely shifted prior and post Apple's announcement. Prior to the Apple Vision Pro being announced, people were very unsure whether the metaverse or a virtual reality future is something that they actually wanted.
My thoughts are more curious about just who believes in this future?
Not only critical, but skeptical. I don't know that people have decided that this is the future they want yet.
It's no secret that Mark Zuckerberg and the Meta company has been struggling for quite a while because of this reason. The confidence in the idea of virtual reality has been low. And despite Mark Zuckerberg's efforts to reassure the markets that this is a safe space to invest and that this is a good bet on the future, because no other major players were playing in this space, Samsung, Apple, Google were all not releasing headsets, and investing as much of their R&D into this space as Meta was, Mark Zuckerberg kind of seemed like that weird child of Silicon Valley, off on his own doing his own thing, and as a result of that, a lot of investors have lost confidence. But by Apple now entering this space and effectively also saying, yes, we also bet on this being the future of technology, that gives a huge amount of validation to Mark Zuckerberg and all of his prior investments. So that's the second reason why Mark Zuckerberg might be extremely happy with this announcement. Now, before I sign off, there's just a couple more comments that I want to address. Some comments were talking about how me thinking that the camera filming thing in public being weird was not actually as weird as I was making it out to be, and they think that this is going to get normalized a lot faster than I was saying in that video. That is a totally fair point. When Apple first released the AirPods, I think they looked pretty weird. A lot of people thought they looked pretty weird, but now they're the most popular headphone in the world. So, Apple does have that kind of power in the industry and just in society in general to sort of reshape social norms and what we think of as acceptable. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this filming stuff in public thing will be commonplace soon. Who knows? And one final bit of speculation, when I was talking about the big screen viewing experience, I was saying how amazing it is and how much of an enjoyable experience it is, and some people were saying, yeah, but what if you want to watch videos with somebody else? Fair point. Now, I don't work at Apple, I don't know what they're working on behind the scenes, but something does exist already on Apple devices called SharePlay.
When you're on a FaceTime call, jump to a streaming app and press play, and boom, you and your friends are watching the same video totally in sync.
So I imagine a natural extension of SharePlay is to integrate SharePlay into a device like this one so that you can watch the same content with other people, when you all have your own device. Yes, that does mean that you have to buy multiple $3,500 headsets if you have multiple people in the household. Not feasible for most people, I know, but it is feasible for some people. Some people are very rich. And so that is a possibility. And finally, I want to address the people who say that I am an Apple fanboy. I'm absolutely not an Apple fanboy. This video is being edited on a PC. I am using DaVinci Resolve, not Final Cut Pro. My smart home speaker is a Google Nest, not a HomePod. My smart TV is a Google Chromecast, not an Apple TV. I do have an iPhone right now, but I used to have a Google Pixel, and I have to say, and I will openly say this, that I think the Google Pixel UI is better than iOS. So if you want to call me an Apple fanboy, shut up. I'm not an Apple fanboy, I'm just giving credit where credit's due. I think Apple did a really good job with this launch. That's my opinion. And finally, 2 minutes or less says, can I cover more VR content as the space develops? Absolutely, I will. Subscribe if you haven't already to get that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.